Laura, the name my husband Ethan once spoke with a tenderness that wrapped around my heart each morning, his voice soft as a sunrise promising I was his entire world. On quiet nights he'd murmur it into my ear, his breath warm making me feel like nothing could touch us. But tonight my name sliced through the darkness in a way that shattered that illusion, not with love but with a cold, unfamiliar venom that left me breathless. I woke in the middle of the night, the bed beside me cold and empty. Ethan was gone. My first thought was innocent, maybe he was in the bathroom or downstairs grabbing a glass of water. I rolled over, ready to slip back into sleep, when a faint sound pierced the silence, a low, deliberate whisper sharp in the stillness of our home. My heart thudded as I sat up, every nerve on edge. It was Ethan's voice, careful, controlled, coming from somewhere down the hall. Then words that froze my blood. She still doesn't suspect anything. My breath caught as if an invisible hand had clamped around my chest, squeezing out the air. That nagging unease I buried the way Ethan would hastily lock his phone when I entered the room. The vague excuses about late nights at work, it surged back, a tidal wave of doubt and fear crashing over me. My hands trembled as I slipped out of bed, my bare feet meeting the icy wooden floor, each step amplifying the dread pooling in my stomach. I followed the whispers to the door of his home office, where a sliver of light spilled through the crack, pressing myself against the wall. I held my breath, straining to hear more, my pulse a deafening drum in my ears. Yeah, I've already transferred it, Ethan said, his voice low, calculated, like a predator stalking prey. It's going as planned, almost done. My throat tightened until I could barely swallow. Transferred what? Almost done with what? My heart pounded so loudly I feared he'd hear it. Then footsteps, panic surged, and I hurried back to bed, pulling the covers over me just as the bedroom door creaked open. Ethan slipped in, moving with the ease of someone who hadn't just been plotting in the shadows. I shut my eyes, forcing my breathing to stay even, pretending I was asleep, though my mind screamed with questions. The mattress dipped as he lay beside me, his steady breaths a cruel mockery of the chaos tearing through me. He was hiding something sinister, and it had everything to do with me. The next morning, while Ethan slept, I crept into the kitchen, my phone trembling in my hands. I'd never paid much attention to our finances. Ethan always handled the bills, investments, and savings, and I trusted him blindly. But today that trust felt like a noose. I opened the banking app, my eyes scanning the transactions, each number a stab to my heart. $500, $1,000, $200, $750, $2,000, all withdrawn over the past 3 months. Not huge sums, but enough to scream that something was terribly wrong. I gripped the kitchen counter, my knuckles white, trying to steady the panic clawing at my chest. These weren't for bills or investments. The money was just gone, vanishing into a void I couldn't comprehend. Checking the bank account this early, Ethan's voice sliced through my thoughts. I turned to see him leaning against the doorway, rubbing his neck with a sleepy smile that didn't reach his eyes. But when his gaze flicked to my phone, a shadow of tension crossed his face, fleeting but undeniable. Just randomly checking, I said, forcing my voice to stay steady despite the storm raging inside. There are a few withdrawals I don't recognize. He sauntered over, pouring himself coffee with a casual air that felt rehearsed. Oh, those just some small investments I forgot to mention. He took a sip, his eyes Avoiding mine, his smile a thin veneer. Over something darker I searched his face for a crack in his mask, but Ethan was a master at deception, his charm a weapon I'd once fallen for. I nodded, pretending to accept his lie, but a new emotion stirred within me, not just doubt, but a chilling certainty that he was betraying me in ways I couldn't yet grasp. That evening I watched him like a hawk. He was texting constantly, always placing his phone face down as if guarding a secret he'd step outside to take calls, his voice hushed, laced with urgency he didn't want me to hear. Then my chance came. Ethan stood announcing he was going to shower and did something he'd never done before. He left his phone on the table unguarded. My heart raced, but I forced myself to stay calm, counting the seconds until I was sure he was gone. I picked up the phone, my hands trembling as the screen lit up with a new message. Send her Ilium Maro message. Just make sure she stays in the dark. Almost done. My grip tightened, my pulse stopping for a moment. Ilium Maro, who is that, and what did almost done mean? A cold dread washed over me, sinking into my bones as I set the phone down. The sound of the shower, a distant hum. Ethan wasn't just hiding something, he was plotting against me, and his plan was nearly complete. I returned the phone to its place, my hands shaking as if I'd touched something poisonous. The words burned in my mind. Just make sure she stays in the dark. My husband, the man I'd vowed to love forever, was orchestrating a betrayal that threatened to unravel my life. I studied my breath, the water still running in the bathroom. I had minutes to act, to protect myself before he returned, before his plan could tighten its grip. The next morning Ethan acted as if the world hadn't shifted beneath my feet. He set a cup of coffee in front of me, his smile warm but hollow, a performance I now saw through. How's work going? He asked, his concern dripping with falseness, each word a reminder of his deceit. I forced a weak smile, my heart heavy with the weight of what I knew. Fine, I said, my voice barely above a whisper, every fiber of my being screaming to confront him, but I held back, knowing I needed to be strategic. Laura, he said, placing his phone face down. As always, I think we should reorganize our finances a bit, just as a precaution. You never know what life might throw at us. My eyes narrowed, but I kept my voice calm, masking the fury building inside. What do you mean? We should consolidate our assets, he said smoothly, each word carefully chosen, like a chess move in a game I hadn't realized we were playing. If anything happens, it'll be easier to manage. I'll handle the paperwork. All you have to do is sign. My grip tightened on my coffee cup, the warmth doing nothing to thaw the ice in my veins. I'd been waiting for this moment, sensing his plan unfolding like a trap. He thought he could manipulate me, make it sound like a simple step, but I wasn't naive. I smiled, nodding slowly, my mind racing. Sounds reasonable. Can you show me the documents first? A flicker of surprise crossed his eyes. He hadn't expected me to agree so readily, but he recovered quickly, nodding with a practiced ease. Of course, I'll have them ready soon. I didn't wait for soon. As soon as Ethan left for work, I called Anna, my lawyer and best friend from college, my voice trembling with urgency. I couldn't let him outmaneuver me. I needed to protect myself before he made his next move. As I poured out everything, the whispers in the night, the mysterious withdrawals, the chilling message from Iliamaro, Anna listened in silence, her calm anchoring me. When I finished, her voice was steady but urgent. Laura, you need to move your assets immediately. I'd been thinking it all night, lying awake, As Ethan slept beside me, his presence of betrayal in itself, hearing Anna say it, solidified my resolve, turning fear into action. Well, set up a trust, she continued. Transfer everything of value into your name. Under it, Ethan won't be able to touch a cent. Do it, I said, my voice firm despite the fear gnawing at my heart, the weight of losing everything I'd worked for pressing down on me. In less than 3 days we finalized everything. The apartment, savings accounts, investment shares, all were protected, locked away from Ethan's reach. No matter what he tried, he couldn't take anything from me. For days later he came home early, sitting across from me with an air of importance, his eyes glinting with a confidence that made my stomach churn. I knew the moment had arrived. Laura, he began, placing a stack of documents on the table, his voice measured. We need to have a serious talk. I eyed the papers, my heart steady despite the storm of emotions within. I was ready. What is it? I want a divorce, he said, his voice calm, rehearsed as if he'd practiced the words 100 times. I think it's for the best. We've grown apart. I don't want things to get more tense. I raised an eyebrow, showing no surprise, though my heart ached at the finality of it all. Really? He hesitated for a split second, a crack in his facade, then pressed on. Yes. It's better this way. I stayed silent, letting the moment stretch, letting him feel the weight of his own words. Then I pushed the papers back toward him. Before we talk about this, there's something you should know. He frowned, his confidence wavering. What is it? I met his gaze, my voice clear and deliberate, each word a dagger. I've already moved all my assets. The air thickened with tension, heavy as a storm cloud. Ethan froze, his eyes widening, his jaw tightening as the realization hit. What? You can't take anything from me anymore, I continued, my tone unwavering, though my heart pounded with a mix of fear and triumph. Everything is legally protected, the apartment, the savings, the investments, they're all secure. Ethan was silent, his face twitching with barely contained rage, his hands clenching into fists. He hadn't seen this coming, and the shock in his eyes was a small victory. I stood meeting his stunned gaze with a calm smile, though inside I was trembling with the weight of what I'd done. You were right about one thing, Ethan. No one can predict what's going to happen. He didn't respond, but I could see his mind racing, calculating his next move, searching for a way to regain control. It didn't matter, the power had shifted, and for the first time I was the one holding the cards. Ethan didn't speak for a full minute, gripping the divorce papers so tightly his knuckles whitened. His anger was palpable, a storm brewing behind his eyes, but he fought to maintain his composure as if he still held the upper hand. I adjusted my coat, my heart pounding with a mix of triumph and lingering fear, the weight of his betrayal still heavy in my chest. If there's nothing else, I think we're done here. He took a deep breath, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. A predator cornered but still dangerous. We'll see each other in court, Laura, he said, his voice low and sharp, cutting like a blade, and you won't get away with this easily. I smirked, holding his gaze, refusing to let him see the flicker of fear his words sparked. Then go ahead and try. I walked out of the living room, a surge of victory coursing through me, but I knew the battle was far from over. 3 days later, a thick envelope arrived from Ethan's lawyer, a formal divorce petition demanding half of all assets, including my apartment, 50% of our joint accounts, and even a monthly allowance claiming I'd forced him to sacrifice his career for our marriage. I laughed bitterly, the audacity of his lies cutting deeper than I expected. Ethan had never sacrificed anything. I had carried the financial weight of our life together, pouring my heart and soul into our shared dreams while he schemed. Behind my back he'd lost nothing, yet he wanted everything. I called Anna, immediately, my voice trembling with a mix of anger and determination. We've got a problem, I said, flipping through the stack of papers, each demand a fresh wound. She chuckled softly, her kala lifeline. Let me guess, Ethan's not backing down. Of course not, I sighed, my fingers tracing the edges of the documents. He wants half my assets, the apartment and support payments. Anna scoffed, her voice dripping with disdain. He actually thinks he has a shot. No, but he'll try to wear you down with every trick he's got. Then we fight, I said, my voice steady despite the knot of fear in my stomach, the weight of his betrayal pressing harder with each passing moment. It's time we show him he picked the wrong opponent, Anna replied, her tone fierce, igniting a spark of hope within me. 4 days later, Anna and I sat in her law office, poring over the case file. Every detail a reminder of the life I'd thought I'd built with Ethan. He doesn't stand a chance, she said, setting the folder down with a decisive thud. You transferred your assets before he filed. Legally, he has no claim. And the support request, he has no grounds. Your income was always the primary one. I exhaled relief, mingling with the unease that had become my constant companion. Then my phone buzzed, the screen lighting up with a message from an unknown number. Be careful, Laura, Ethan doesn't play by the rules. A chill ran through me, my heart racing as I stared at the words. But I pushed the fear aside. I couldn't let it derail me. 3 days later, something shifted at work. Coworkers gave me strange looks, their whispers trailing me like shadows I thought I was imagining it. My nerves frayed from sleepless nights until my assistant Rachel walked into my office, her face tense with worry. There's something you need to see, she said, placing a printed sheet on my desk. It was a post on an anonymous forum. A CFO embezzling company funds to hide money from her husband during a divorce. Can someone look into this? Below, dozens of comments, one chillingly specific. I know who it is, Laura, at my name out there for the world to see, twisted into a lie that could destroy everything I'd worked for. Rage burned in my chest, hot and unrelenting. Ethan's behind this, I said coldly, my voice steady despite the storm inside. Rachel nodded, her eyes filled with concern. No doubt, if this spreads, it could ruin your reputation. I took a deep breath, forcing calm, though my hands trembled with fury. I couldn't let Ethan destroy my career, the one thing I built with my own strength. I need to see Anna now, I said, grabbing my phone, determination drowning out the fear. We're not letting him get away with this. That evening I met Anna and poured out the latest betrayal, my voice shaking with a mix of anger and hurt. She frowned, her eyes narrowing. He's trying character assassination. He wants you to lose your cool and make a mistake. I won't, I said, my voice firm, though my heart ached with the weight of Ethan's relentless attacks. What's the plan? Anna's eyes glinted with resolve. First, we send a cease and desist letter. If he spreads one more lie, we sue for defamation and intentional damage to your reputation. I felt a spark of hope, a fire igniting within me, burning away the fear. Ethan thought he could break me with lies, but he was wrong. I nodded, my Jaw set. Let's do it. 3 days later in Anna's office, she slid a document across the table, her expression grave. Ethan just filed a lawsuit accusing you of financial fraud. I froze, my heart plummeting. What? He claims you embezzled money from your joint accounts before transferring your assets, Anna said, her tone calm but tense, and he's not alone. There's a co-plaintiff. I opened the file, my eyes landing on a name that sent a shiver down my spine. Ilya Maroro. Ethan had an accomplice, someone working with him to tear me down. Who is Ilya? I asked, my voice dry, barely masking the fear clawing at me. Anna crossed her arms, her expression grim. He's known for creating fake financial documents, been tied to lawsuits, but no one's pinned him down with evidence. I flipped through Ethan's court filings, my anger rising with each page. These transactions aren't mine, I snapped, my voice trembling with fury, the betrayal cutting deeper than ever. Anna nodded, her calm grounding me. We suspected that, but if we don't act fast, this could get serious. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms. Can we prove they're fake? Anna's smile was sharp, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. Not only can we prove it, we're going to turn it to our advantage. She handed the case to a forensic financial expert, and I spent the next week in a haze of anxiety and determination, checking my phone obsessively, jumping at every notification. A week later, Anna called me into her office, her eyes gleaming with a rare hint of excitement. You're going to like this, she said, placing a file in front of me. They made a mistake. The transactions Ethan claims you made, their time-stamped before your account even existed. I blinked, my heart racing, a flicker of hope breaking through the fog. What? Anna tapped the page, her finger tracing a list of bank statements. This account was opened in July, but their documents show transactions from May. They were too confident and didn't double-check. A smile spread across my face, slow and triumphant, as the weight of fear began to lift. They just destroyed themselves, I whispered, my voice thick with relief. Anna nodded, her eyes blazing with determination. We're not just dismissing this, we're suing them for defamation and presenting forged evidence. 3 days later, Anna filed the counter-suit, the words ringing with justice. Defendant Ethan Reynolds, along with accomplice Ilya Maroro, knowingly submitted falsified evidence to defame and financially harm plaintiff Laura Thompson. We also demanded compensation for the damages they'd caused, each lie a brick in the wall of their undoing. Ethan wasn't just going to lose, he'd pay for every betrayal, every moment he'd made me doubt myself. That evening I sat on my sofa, savoring a rare moment of peace with a cup of coffee, the warmth grounding me. My phone buzzed, an unknown number. I answered, and a growling voice came through. You think you're so smart, don't you? I smirked, my heart steady despite his venom. Hello, Ethan. Got the notice from your lawyer? I swear, Laura, you're going to regret this. He ceded, his voice dripping with desperation. You have no idea who you're messing with. I leaned back, fearless, the strength I'd fought for rising within me. No, Ethan, you're the one who doesn't know who you're messing with. The line went dead and I set the phone down, a smile lingering on my lips. He was desperate, grasping at straws, and I was ready for whatever he threw next. The courtroom was electric with tension, the air thick with anticipation. I sat upright, my eyes locked on Ethan across the room. He wore a tailored suit, but his hands gripped the table, his knuckles white, betraying the unease he couldn't hide. The judge flipped through the documents, his voice steady, cutting through the silence based on the evidence the transactions Mr. Reynolds claimed Miss Thompson made were impossible. A murmur rippled through the room and I glanced at Ethan, catching the twitch in his eye, the clench of his jaw. He knew what was coming, and the fear in his posture was a quiet victory. The judge continued. A forensic expert confirmed these transactions predate the plaintiff's account. This indicates the documents presented by Mr. Reynolds and his associate were fabricated. Anna let out a quiet laugh beside me, and I felt a surge of satisfaction. A fire that had been smoldering for months finally blazing free. The judge tapped his gavel, his voice resolute. Due to the defendant's falsified evidence, the court dismisses all of Mr. Reynolds' claims and orders him to cover the plaintiff's legal costs. I couldn't hide my smile as Ethan's shoulders slumped, his carefully constructed facade crumbling. His attorney stood, voice trembling, but the judge silenced him with a raised hand. Furthermore, due to the deliberate submission of false information, I am ordering an investigation into the documents submitted by Mr. Reynolds and his accomplice. Ethan froze, the weight of his mistake crashing down on him. This wasn't just a divorce case anymore. He faced real legal consequences, the kind that could unravel his life. The gavel fell sharp and final. Court is adjourned. Anna flashed a victorious smile, her eyes sparkling with triumph. A perfect knockout, she whispered. Ethan lingered, his steps heavy as he walked out, the confidence he'd once worn like armor now gone. I slowed my pace, letting him feel my presence, my quiet triumph burning brighter with each step. He turned back, meeting my gaze, his eyes filled with a mix of anger and defeat. I tilted my head, a slow smile spreading across my face. Are we done here, Ethan? He said nothing, his silence louder than any words. There was nothing left to say outside the courthouse. I took a deep breath, the fresh air cleansing the tension from my body, washing away the months of fear and betrayal. I'd won not just a legal battle, but a war against the man who tried to break me, to strip away everything I'd built. A week later, Ethan's lawyer tried to negotiate to avoid the criminal investigation, their desperation palpable. We declined. He brought this on himself, and I had no intention of letting him escape the consequences of his actions. 2 weeks later, whispers spread like wildfire. Ethan's colleagues talked about his failed scheme, his attempt to manipulate the law for personal gain. His company dropped him, his reputation in the finance world shattered like glass. He sold his beloved sports car to cover legal fees, and his luxury apartment went on the market, a symbol of the life he'd lost. Everything he tried to take from me, he ended up losing himself, each loss a testament to his own hubris. I sat in my apartment one evening, sipping a glass of wine, the city's twinkling lights stretching out before me. My phone lit up with a message from Anna. Congratulations, Laura, he's completely fallen apart. I smiled, setting the phone down, the weight of the past months lifting from my shoulders. I felt lighter than I had in years, the scars of betrayal still there, but no longer defining me. The quiet of my apartment was a sanctuary, a space free from Ethan's manipulative texts, his late-night calls laced with threats. For the first time in months I could breathe without fear pressing on my chest, without the constant dread of what he might do next. Victory hadn't been easy. It had demanded every ounce of my strength, every shred of courage, but it was mine in every way. Ethan had lost everything while I kept what was rightfully mine, emerging stronger than I'd ever been that night, Anna insisted. We celebrate, her voice bright with pride. At a high-end restaurant, my closest friends gathered, their laughter a balm to my soul as I entered. Applause broke out, warm and genuine, a reminder of the people who'd stood by me through the darkness. Anna raised her glass, her eyes shining, to Laura, who taught us never to underestimate a smart woman with a plan. I laughed, clinking my glass against hers, the wine rich with the taste of triumph, its smoothness a contrast to the bitterness of the past. Beatrice tilted her head, her eyes warm with empathy. How does it feel knowing he has nothing left? I set my glass down, a soft smile forming as I search for the words. Relieving, I said, my voice steady but thick with emotion, but more than that. It feels like freedom, like I've taken back every piece of myself he tried to steal. Beatrice nodded, her empathy grounding me, a reminder of the strength I'd found in community. What's next? She asked, her voice soft but curious. I took a deep breath, the city's pulse humming outside the window, alive with possibility, enjoying life. I said, a smile breaking through, and never letting anyone have that kind of power over me. Again glasses rose in agreement, cheers echoing through the room, a celebration of not just my victory but the resilience that had carried me through. After the celebration I walked alone along the avenue, my heels clicking softly on the stone pavement. Chicago glowed under the night sky, its golden lights reflecting off the streets, creating a dreamy glow that felt like a promise. A cool October breeze brushed my skin, crisp and invigorating, and I pulled my coat tighter, not from cold but to savor every second of this freedom, this moment of being wholly my own. My phone buzzed, an unknown number flashing on the screen. This isn't over, I smirked, recognizing Ethan's desperate last grasp at control. Without hesitation I tapped the number and hit block, the action final, empowering. He had no power over me anymore, no hold on the life I'd reclaimed. On my balcony I gazed at the city's glittering horizon, the lights stretching endlessly before me. The air felt fresher, lighter, as if I'd shed a burden I'd carried for far too long. My story with Ethan was over, its final chapter written. In my victory I'd won, not just legally or financially but by reclaiming myself, by finding the strength to rise above betrayal. Some lessons come at a brutal cost, delivered in the harshest ways. I once believed Ethan was my partner, the one I could build a future with, share every dream and secret. I ignored the red flags, the subtle shifts in his behavior, thinking love and trust could conquer all. I was wrong. Even those we love most can betray us in ways that cut deeper than we ever imagined. Their actions a knife to the heart, but strength isn't about avoiding betrayal, no matter how careful, how loving, how much you give. Some will exploit your trust, twisting it for their gain. What matters is what you do afterward. Do you let it destroy you, crumbling under the weight of their lies? Or do you rise stronger, wiser and yielding? I chose to rise, to fight for myself with a ferocity I didn't know I possessed. My battle with Ethan wasn't just about legal victories, it was a crash course in protecting myself emotionally and financially. I once thought love meant sharing everything: finances, dreams, vulnerabilities, with no boundaries, no safeguards. But reality taught me that trust requires preparation, especially when money and power are involved. Ethan thought I'd be an easy target, a pawn in his game of manipulation. He planned, schemed, and believed I'd crumble under pressure. He Was wrong, I stayed calm, made a plan and struck back at the right moment, turning his overconfidence against him, his haste. His arrogance exposed the cracks in his lies, and I used those cracks to bring him down, to reclaim what was mine. Sipping my wine, I let the subtle bitterness linger on my tongue, a reminder of the pain that had forged my strength. The past was behind me, its lessons carved into my soul. Ahead lay a future I owned, one where I'd never again let someone control my fate. Life isn't always fair, and sometimes the people we trust most are the ones who betray us. Their actions a wound that lingers, but Laura's story is more than a divorce lawsuit. It's a testament to resilience, to the power of preparation and self-protection in every relationship, especially when finances are intertwined. Never lose control over your life when faced with betrayal. Stay calm, make a plan, and strike back when the time is right. The greatest victory isn't revenge. It's reclaiming yourself, standing tall in the face of those who tried to tear you down. What do you think of Laura's journey through betrayal and triumph? Share your thoughts in the comments and follow for more inspiring stories of strength, resilience, and the unbreakable human spirit.